So you're like freshly waking
sharp and ready to go.
Hell yeah.
I literally was just thinking, I was like, I'm about to call Kirsten because you're never late, which means something's wrong.
Warhammer time.
Yeah. Bleariad.
Time to wake up from one nightmare and start the next.
Oh, God. I mean, that's, I guess. Like, I guess it's kind of like that. As your
I'm just getting ready for the day.
Yeah, that's getting ready for the day. Okay. Well, you guys ready to do this?
Yeah.
Anything outside of the game we need to talk about real quick? Any other scheduling conflicts I have coming up that I don't have on the calendars yet? No? Eric,
We
your
play
lips are
next
moving,
week,
but
right?
your mouth ain't speaking.
Yeah. Just the only thing is like I could maybe squeeze in an episode next week, but I'm not going to.
Let's not risk it with you, taking your wife to have your child.
Well, we're supposed to go into the hospital at 9 p.m. on Sunday night.
Nah, yeah.
And she's like, you can play it if you want, like it before. I'm like, no, I'm not. That sounds like terrible.
Can you imagine though, like, if we're in the middle of an episode and something goes wrong, how angry she might get, how angry anybody's wife would get?
Hold on. I'm still playing. Hold it in.
You need to wait.
I'm not done.
You need to wait.
Can you wait like 30 more minutes? We just started.
We'll cut all that shit out.
You'd think it's your second time through this. You'd understand how to do this. It's so needy.
We gotta go see a doctor for this?
Yeah. Did you take notes? What the fuck?
In some worlds there are doctors, and in the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war, and tonight there is only Warhammer. Welcome to the Tainted Hive Season 2, Children of Rokarth, our second playthrough of Imperium Maledictum Warhammer 40,000 roleplay by Cubicle 7. We are excited that the show is being sponsored by the wonderful, wonderful folks over at PrimetimeMagic.com. Alex, how many of their cards have you bought recently? I'm going to come back to you next week. I expect a higher answer.
All right.
But thank you to the folks over at PrimetimeMagic.com. They are currently sponsoring the show. Right now they have Magic singles for sale over on their website. Go over, check them out. They've got all kinds of cool stuff. Show them some love, just like they're showing us some love and helping to support the show.
I do gotta say, their website does look clean.
It's nice, right?
Yeah, it is nice.
If I was still spending way too much money on Magic, I would buy things. But I'm just going to wait until they start.
See the way my bank account's set up.
The way your bank account's set up, your wife just goes, no. But I will say, I'm excited to see when they start putting all their RPG stuff up there too, because, this is who I get all my RPG through. Anyway, on that note, welcome to Warhammer 40,000, gentlemen. Happy, happy day. How are we?
I'm ready to do a murder.
Only one?
We'll see.
It's going to be a light session then, okay.
Fun fact, you just came off of one, so what's a second? There's no real harm in 2 murders, right?
We didn't murder anyone.
Him. Yeah, we didn't murder him.
You didn't murder him by any shape or form. And quite frankly, he probably deserved it.
My notes specifically say, I didn't do it. So
Mordecai just holds up this piece of parchment with like ink scrawls on it. Says, not me.
Wasn't me.
All right. Well, last time on Rokarth, so y'all had made your way, starting to investigate some of the things that the Seneschal had asked you to look into. And you made your way through the ship down to the data vaults, and you met with Lex Mechanic Lucine 4, who had shared with you that there were some data discrepancies that needed to be investigated. Making your way from the data vaults down into the storage spaces, one of the decks of the ship where there were huge amounts of foodstuffs, munitions, and fuel that were being stored for future state, you met with Liss, one of the fuel engineers, and Roderick decided that it was a great day to piss off somebody's father, and proceeded to poke the bear, as he calls it, with Brock, Liss's actual father, who lives on the same deck. And just as a quick reminder, similar to Hive cities, folks who live and serve on an Imperial ship tend to never leave that Imperial ship. But as you pushed Roderick, you and Quinton and group trying to find who may have tampered with a cogitator where you had found a spliced and sliced cable. Both you and Quinton ended up exceeding your ability to hold on to warp charges, and as you said, purgation is better with a friend. So, as a coat of hoarfrost lit the deck, Quinton reversed gravity with everyone, all 24 crew members, Liz, Brock, the four of you, all going vertical. Many people not landing well. Everyone suffered who did suffer. So Dmitry and Mordecai, you each suffered a hammering blow. So you took a bleed. You took, I believe, 4 wounds each. Dmitry resulting in 5 because of the time it took you to heal yourself. Mm-hmm. And as you guys did this, however, you did manage to find someone. Quinton managed to identify someone who didn't seem to be as worried about what you all were doing. Didn't seem to be as non-cautious. Seemed to be kind of from the outside looking in, watching you, watching other folks, and yelled out that he thought he had it. And with a pistol at his face from Roderick, you all managed to allow Quinton to once again violate someone's brain and rip their memories, only to find out that there were none. This had already happened. The individual had... I think my microphone needs to be tightened.
Did it just come at you? And Justin's also muted?
It's just come at me.
Muted. You're lying.
Anyway, you noticed somebody being suspicious, and then I'll fix my microphone right after this. And as you kind of held him in place with the gun, Quinton ripped his memories, found that someone had already done so, and also found that he was the one to mess with the cogitator. Dmitry, you took a point, I believe you took a point or avoided a point of corruption.
I took a point.
Took a point of corruption, having decoded the message in the cogitator itself.
Now that he wants to murder.
That corruption seating in there.
And then you all took the information first to Lucine 4, gaining a point of influence, and then eventually to both Halikarn and the Seneschal himself, Malicent, who Halikarn put a bolt round through his head and told you to continue on with the tasks at hand. So, as we open on today, you have spent the vast majority, as we open today playing our game, you spent the vast majority of your day rushing around the decks from the data vaults and down, trying to get grips on what all was going on. And as a reminder, the Seneschal had given you a couple different tasks. The first was to review with Lucine for the data vaults, which you did, and to speak with a battery captain, Frederic, with issues on the macro cannon munitions on the main gunnery deck's portside batteries. So, I'm going to quickly tighten this, and I'm going to say, gentlemen, it's mid-afternoon. What do you want to do?
I'm assuming we're going to go back in the elevator and go down to wherever the portside batteries might be.
Yes.
GM?
I'm here.
He didn't even mute himself.
Why would I mute myself? I still have to yell at y'all.
What's that slapping sound?
That'd be the Seneschal tentacles coming out the back of my microphone as I try to get it back in place.
Oh, hell yeah.
Little bitch-ass bastard. The warp has touched my microphone. Someone call the Omnissiah. All right. So,
you're a nerd.
Exterminatus.
Just straight exterminatus. All right. So the day is yours. You guys just want to start heading down to investigate the next piece?
Yeah, I mean, we had a job to do.
Okay. So as a reminder, this ship is kilometers long. You are currently at the bridge, which is in the rear third, very high up. So it's early afternoon. It takes you all going through a couple different lifts, making your way through the ship itself. It takes you all until the early evening. So, early afternoon, say like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It'll take you 3 hours, till about 6 o'clock, to make your way through the winding corridors, getting through a couple checkpoints to the guns. Now, that's not to say that it would actually normally take you 3 hours to rush. So if you'd like to rush, you could move a little quicker with a couple tests. But otherwise, it's going to take you quite some time to make your way through multiple bulkheads with multiple crew members and people filling the corridors as well.
Does the fire marshal know about how hard this place is to get in and out of?
Part of why it's so hard to get in and out of is you guys are going to drop roughly 20 decks and then make your way along the main thoroughfare. If you wanted to rush it, you could take a direct path and cut that down to about an hour, hour and a half, unless you want to run.
I don't think we need to run, but
We need to
no.
rush. I mean,
I don't think so, right?
I'd say we could do a hurried walk, 'cause determined to walk, I guess.
Okay.
But
A hurried, determined walk. So you all take the lift and you make your way down. And you begin to head along the main path of the ship, along the Lamenting Tears of Terra, heading your way towards the macro cannon batteries. And as a reminder, the ship has multiple batteries on both port and starboard side. And each of these batteries are manned by anywhere from 40 to 50 people per gun. They are massive structures.
Ooh.
The lift stops as you reach kind of this main thoroughfare, and you realize that you are in a tunnel that is as wide as 4 tanks and as tall as any of the largest vehicles stacked on top of each other as you've ever seen. It is obviously a thoroughfare that was meant for moving large amounts of goods through the ship quickly. It is also tall enough that a small aircraft could theoretically fly through it at a low altitude. The path itself, the floors are not mesh grating, metallic grating. They're concrete. It is a road. It is ringing with the sounds of being almost metal, but you realize that there's a coat of concrete on top, perhaps to make it safer, perhaps to make it easier for vehicles. As you walk down this main thoroughfare, you see patrols of 5 to 6 guardsmen or different inquisitorial guards moving place to place. You see huge vehicles trundling along with racks of munitions, fuel, supply crates, etc. The whole space itself sounds as if it has this grit of an industrial feel, similar to what you saw in Rokarth, similar to what you saw in the Hive of Vol, but it's not. It's beautiful. It's gilded. Everything wrapped in gold and silver, everything shining immaculately. And as you look to the high arches, meters above your head, you see as small servitors fly, and with nothing more than a bucket and a rag, their entire servitude is to scrub and scrub and scrub. You watch as a truck trundles past, a thick black plume of Prometheum-style smoke, almost like diesel smoke coming out, exhaust. And where it does, you watch as a servitor flies directly to where it's going, and it's just behind it, hitting all the gold that might be even remotely touched. It is so gilded and so bright, it almost hurts the eyes. And it's immaculate perfection. You walk along this path for the majority of the 2 kilometers you would have to walk from the lift to where you need to be. As your transit from bridge to here comes to an end after about an hour and a half, going the direct route being significantly faster than the slower route. You reach a massive set of double doors that are open currently. You walk through these doors, and each door is 5 meters thick, with a 10-meter gap between the 2 sets of doors. So you have a 5-meter thick door, 10-meter gap, 5-meter thick door. And it's very obvious that this is meant to be an airlock, because you step out through this space, and the arch of this is not gilded. It is not gilt. It is not pretty. The gold, the beauty left behind, you step into a pure military, efficiently spaced location. The guns are equidistant. Crews bustle between. Huge vehicles haul massive jacketed shells into place and take others away. Each gun crawls with people. The ceiling, again, extends high enough that you feel as if there could be clouds up there. But they extend that high because the guns themselves are tens of meters tall. These guns are massive. The shells are larger than a man. They are each shell is as large as a tank.
I love that tank is a standard unit of measure in this game.
It's
How
the
many
best thing I
tanks
can think.
across are we talking?
You know, just like in as all of us know in Wisconsin, we like to talk in terms of hours, not miles. We're going to talk in terms of tanks, not meters.
We're talking some M1 Abrams.
And we're talking a Lehman Russ, which puts an M1 Abrams to shame.
Oh, these are even bigger tanks, huh?
Oh yeah, a Lehman Russ battle tank in the Warhammer 40,000 universe
is massive.
Take an M1 Abrams, stack another M1 Abrams on top of it, and another M1 Abrams on top of that, and you might have the height of a Lehman Russ.
Seems unnecessary.
They're massive, absolutely massive vehicles.
Why do anything normally in Warhammer?
It's fair. Yeah, I do like that we just came out of this giant golden hallway and the asshole paid us, 150 solars?
Yeah.
But, you know, that's cool.
Yep.
That's fine.
Keep in mind, Mordecai, your faith is your penance.
Oh, of course.
It's all in service of the Emperor. Now suck it up.
So I would like each of you at this point to give me a very quick, I'll allow either an intuition or awareness sight test. Challenging +0 either way as you look to the ceilings of this space.
+1, 47 under 57.
75 over 51.
Okay.
81 over 31. Yeah.
Okay.
And 53 plus what?
Okay. Roderick with a +1.
Yeah.
Quinton with a +1. Dmitry and Mordecai both with not a chance.
Now good.
So Dmitry, Mordecai, as you two look to the ceiling of this space, as you thought you saw clouds, you realize that what you see is fog. There actually is fog at the upper levels of this deck. Quinton, being Voidborn, and Roderick, being a member of the Navis Imperialis, you both realize that it's not fog. It looks like fog. It is the steam of the sweat of these hundreds of bodies moving through this space. It is the steam from the guns themselves as they, if they're fired, if they're worked on, as they heat up. And more than that, it is the smoke from hundreds of cigarettes lingering above.
Yo, did you just have us test for must awareness?
Yep, I did. Now,
We
each
think
of
it's
you,
pretty little clouds, but it's actually ass must.
the space itself is sweltering. And as you step through the doors, you realize that the double doors are open not only to help allow people through, but to try to help vent some of this heat. There is no way to keep this space cool. The guns are not even firing, and it is swelteringly hot. And just to Mordecai, to give you a scope, as we were saying, I quickly Googled so I could double check myself on the size of a macro cannon shell. It's bigger than a tank. It's 50 meters across. Yeah, these things are huge.
What?
Yeah. I was like, it's about the size of a Lehman Russ. No, it's like a lot larger than that. So as you're looking, you see as servitors are pushing huge carts that are hauling these shells. We're talking, it's a dozen servitors moving each shell. Each gun, currently you can see the rear breech is open. They are all loaded. However, as you watch, the shell within the gun is being removed systematically, battery by battery by battery, and a fresh shell being put in. The space itself is wider than the hall you just came from, because while the hall you came from had doors that went off to both the port and starboard side into other sections, this area is the whole width of the ship. There is no divide. It is just cannons with, faint low walls between them to create smaller spaces that things are stacked against, but it is one massive deck.
Are we at the front or the back of this?
You are at the front of the ship at this point.
Now,
you are very close to the prow. It's the prow.
I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to get an idea of. So we're seeing all of the cannons from the inside, obviously. But can we see out of the ship? They're just.
You can. So while the cannons do stick out of the ship, there are almost massive, almost like glass spaces on either side, huge windows on either side of the actual cannon sticking out of the ship itself. to show the space on the other side. There are...
Mike just said, how tempered is that glass?
For real.
It's no different than the glass on the bridge. It is void glass. There's also, around the cannon barrel itself, you can actually see where the barrels stick through the ship itself. Very similar to a naval cannon, to go back to that old wooden ship we spoke of. But there are faint, like, images of a void field around the cannons, protecting the atmosphere within.
So when it fails, it kind of gets sucked out that little tiny hole.
If you blast a hole in the ship, it could create a vacuum, absolutely.
Okay, so I don't take super stellar notes. What's the problem in the...
Go talk to Captain Frederick.
That's right.
Captain Frederick.
I wrote Frederick, and I was like, is that a guy or a girl? I don't remember. Portside batteries, we gotta go ask about. So start looking for who might be in charge, then point us in the right direction to find this
Captain Frederick.
So you make your way onto the portside batteries, and each, on both the port and starboard side, there are 4 guns. Each gun has an entire staff of 40 or 50 souls. You make your way to the first cannon. The old shell, the shell that had been in the macro cannon, has been withdrawn with cranes, with gurneys, with people, and is set into a cradle to be hauled away. The new shell is being slammed, and you hear a slightly elderly female voice screaming out, going, "All right, you fucking lugs! Get that jacket rammed home! Come on! There's no guarantee we won't need these guns for the Emperor's grace before the day's out." Ew, what the fuck are you doing? No, do I have to do everything myself? And you see this woman, burly, muscular, tight-cropped bun of a hair with shaved sides on either side, scars on the right, tattooed glyphs down the left. And she is marching over to a guy who has fumbled with a lever that you see as the jacket is tipping towards his side because he's not keeping one of the chains held tight with the machinery he's using. And she's walking over there, just immediately grabs it, corrects it, and looks at him and goes, "This is how you fucking do it in our crew." So you all make your way a little closer. She looks, eyes... Shit, Quinton, you're still on a +8.
I was say, I'm like, does she see me?
Well, I don't know why I rolled, because similar to last time we did this, even with a 002, I can't beat an 8 with her perception. So her awareness won't get there. So she looks at the 3 of you, and I should add, you are all uncomfortable with the warmth at this point. Mordecai, describe, if you would, your apparel for us really quick. Like, what are you wearing today? As you walk through ship, have you dropped any of your garb that you were wearing on Vol, or are you dressed the exact same?
Oh, I'm covered in some sweaty, musty, heavy leathers that are currently the consistency of, like, wet cardboard.
Oh,
well, I would assume so, right?
Lovely.
Yeah, I'm probably leaving a trail behind me if it's that hot in here.
Okay. Dmitry, with your stained flak armor, are you still wearing your robes, or are you in full armor?
I'm never not in my armor.
Oh, you just throw... I missed that.
I'm
you just
that
throw the robes
stank.
over.
Yeah.
So you and Mordecai really smell prime, huh?
I smell like a man, just like
Mordecai,
last season.
Mordecai and Dmitry, you are both warm. Dmitry, with some of your service and some of the places you've been, you're okay, but it's not comfortable. You recognize that in this heat for a prolonged period of time, dressed as you all are, you will have some issues with hydration. As you look at the crew around you, you realize they are stripped to, like, undershirts at this point. Roderick, are you still
Mordecai
wearing your...
does like a quarter squat for no reason. Carry on.
Well, also, I do sauna at least 3 times a week to keep the health of my heart. You know, this is nothing.
Do you sauna in the leathers that are now the consistency of wet cardboard?
You have to be ready.
Roderick, are you still wearing your huge black cloak?
I mean, I have flak armor and sin skin and my coat. Yeah, the only difference from now and Vol would be the mag boots that I would put on while we're in space.
Okay. So you, with the coat on especially, your forehead is just immediately beating up and running. It is hotter than hell in here for how you're dressed.
How many freedom units hot?
We're talking like 85 freedom units.
Oh, shit. 85?
Weird armor, a sin skin, and a trench coat?
No, I sit in the sun at 185. We're fine.
It's not a dry imperial heat, dude.
It's not a dry heat. It's a very, very moist,
swampy,
sweaty
Louisiana heat.
Yeah, it's very Slaneshi heat.
Oh. And then Quinton, you're still in your kind of light robes and clothes, right?
Yep, letting it all breathe out.
You are probably the most comfortable, although you've even adapted a slightly wider stance to get as much airflow as you can. So y'all are pretty warm, but the woman has turned and she looks to each of you and she kind of goes, "Hey, who the fuck are you and what do you want with my gun?"
Well, that's not very nice.
I don't have to be nice. It's a gunnery deck. It's my gunnery deck. Well, this is my gun anyway, but what do you need? What do you want? And if you don't want me, piss off.
First of all, we were sent here by Helicarn himself. So, I understand you have a job to do, but there's no reason to be hostile towards us.
Go ahead and roll a rapport.
A name drop?
I'll let you pick. It can either be a rapport charm, or it can be a...
I'm not trying to be a dick. Charm works.
Well, it could be a charm, or if you're trying to just impress the nature, you could theoretically lean into some kind of like, almost like intimidation. It's up to you.
I don't know if one of those is better for me. Hold on.
One is presence and one is rapport, so...
I was just about to suggest presence of being it. But
yeah, one's presence, one's fellowship. So willpower or fellowship.
Willpower or fellowship? Yeah, we're going fellowship because my willpower's ass.
Then you're going charm.
That is a 1.
A 001. Okay.
I unzip my pants too.
With a 77, yeah, you beat her for sure. So she kind of de-escalates and goes, "Oh, all right then. Well, I mean, if you hear from the Inquisitor himself, apologies. We get bothered very often by administratum folk of this ship trying to just check on it anyway."
Perfectly reasonable. Totally understand. We're actually here to see Captain Friedrich. Frederic.
Battery Captain Frederic. She points, and you see that running the length of the room, there's a small gantry that hangs above the floors, and you see as there is a woman aboard that kind of on that gantry marching back and forth. From this distance, you can make out just enough to see tight cropped gray hair, a vox bead or vox unit of some kind over one ear, and both eyes are augmetic.
Ew.
She goes, "All the families report to Battery Captain Frederic. She is our one point of command should we be ordered to fire. But if you don't need me, I should get back to getting our jackets reloaded. We are in the process of exchanging rounds to have them re-blessed."
Of course. And if you don't mind, what was your name?
Alara Kaelor, matriarch of House Kaelor. This is the gun of House Kaelor. We call it the Emperor's Fist. But we're not really...
Lovely.
We're not really naming each of our guns. We just like to call it that.
I also appreciate how well you run this gun. Thank you for your directions.
She snaps a half salute and just goes, "I appreciate... Hey, you fucking mackerel, get that thing off the deck!" And you watch as someone starts to drop a coil of like wire of some kind, and she goes, I need to deal with this, and is off yelling and barking commands. So
I used my one. You're up next, Roderick.
The gantry she pointed out, you see that there are access points from the deck scattered between each of the guns to allow people to walk up to it. It's not like it's impossible to get to. It is very obviously a point of visual observation for someone of leadership.
I would start making my way over there.
Yeah.
Okay. You make your way up the steps. Now, in this case, it is meshed metal. The steps ring with each step as you climb higher and higher. As you reach the top, almost to the top of the gantry, you see as two soldiers with hell guns stand in your way and bar and go, "Halt. Who seeks to speak to Captain Frederick?" They don't see you, Quinton, don't worry.
I say, do they bar the way? Because if not, I'm just going to keep walking.
They do. They turn and they bar the way.
Okay.
Similar
Whoa,
to...
We're here in peace.
Similar to the officer, or the soldiers you saw when Quinton was taken away. Full black visor, full black mask. They don't want to be identified.
In that case, I'm going to go, Joey, is that you?
They stoically stand there and do not react.
Oh, must just be my mistake. You all look the same.
At that, one of them looks at the other and goes, "It's this joker again."
It is you. I knew it.
What do you want?
Here to see Captain Frederick.
They look at each other. You can't hear anything that's happening right now. They're very obviously communicating, probably through inner helmet Vox beads.
Sure.
And they stare at you for 5 seconds. 10. 15. 20.
Any eon now, gentlemen.
And one of them pauses and says, "Do you have a writ of authorization to see the captain?"
Do I have a writ of what?
Authorization.
Well, I'm sure that Helicon would have told us if we needed one of those when he told us to come down here. Bloody hell.
Finger gets held up. Finger very obviously goes to an ear, and you can tell that this is his way of saying he's speaking to someone. Looks to his partner, looks back, raise the guns, step out of the way, and one of them goes, "Next time, when the Seneschal sends you down, make sure he gives you a writ of authorization if you have to speak with one of the captains."
Aye, aye. I'm going to give him kind of a loose salute and continue to walk by. As you were, Joey.
As you walk by, you hear a voice slightly, very carefully mutter and go, "It's Xavier."
Write that down, don't forget it.
Xavier.
He's still going to call him Joey.
Probably.
So y'all make your way across the deck for a bit, and the captain makes her way over, and you see that the eyes, again, are augmetic, almost like binoculars. They are zooming in and out on the guns. The body itself of this individual appears very broken. They are leaning heavily on a cane, and as they turn to face you, you see that the tight-cropped silver hair is not just tight-cropped, it is just mostly falling out. It is mostly balding with the reverse friar tuck, some might call it. And when she turns, she looks, and you notice that the left foot, left knee, and the left arm below the elbow are all augmetic in addition to the eyes. She leans over and she goes, "So, my men mentioned that you need to speak to me. What can old Captain Frederick do for you?" As she's saying this, you see as her eyes are zooming in on one of the guns and zooming back out again. You can actually hear the lenses whirring as they change their magnification.
Well, I would love to tell you that, but it all is very technical, and I am not.
Dmitry's gonna lean in. Which gun is broke?
She sighs heavily. "None of the guns are broke. I call it a munitions issue because I did not want for this to become a bigger issue, but a munition issue is code. There is a of mental fortitude issue amongst the crew. Families, each serving their gun, frequent the shrine to the God Emperor at the prow less and less. Hymnal devotions during the daily maintenance, and even now, during the exchanging of the rounds, are less and less. Interdeck squabbles are at an all-time high with the families feuding. We've had to triple the guard on the deck because of it. I suspect there are families making plays for power. I'm not sure what entirely we need, but I know that I cannot take this deck into combat if needed at this point. There's too much interdeck strife. I need you to find out why. And I need you to take care of it. And keep in mind, this cannot fall back to myself or the Inquisitor.
What do you mean, fall back? Let's talk about that for a minute.
I never had this conversation. I never asked you to do these things.
I see. So what did you ask us to do then? In case somebody asks.
I didn't ask you to do anything. Halakarn sent you here to check on the status of the munitions supply. There were concerns that our munitions were not reaching us. However, as you can see, the blessed reanointment of the rounds is going very swimmingly. You can tell Halakarn all rounds will be prepared to be fired at need. But make sure you tell him that when we know the guns will actually fire.
Captain, can you give me an example of this division?
She motions out with a sweeping arm and she says, well, I see that you've already met House Kalor.
Yes, she seemed lovely.
In order, you have House Kalor, House Raiden, House Vorin.
Slow down, I'm writing.
Write faster. And she looks at you and she goes, where did you get that paper from? So she
my
motions,
father made paper.
She motions around and she says the 6 leading families are
6.
House Kalor, House Raiden, House Vorin, House Terrasis, and House Draven.
That sounds a lot like 5.
That's 5.
Kalor, Reardon, Vorin, Terrasis, Draven. Oh, that is the 5. Excuse me. Oh. There's 5 ruling families. I can't even count. They're not numbered. They're just bullet
Tell me
points.
the last one after
gun
Terraces.
The last one is Terrasis, Tyrasis, and then Draven, Dravin. There are 8 guns, but there are 5 ruling families. And as she motions, you see that Kalor has the first gun. Raiden has the second gun. Vorin has the left 2 guns. Terrasis and Draven each have 2 guns on the right. Now, Roderick, just give me a lore check, and it can be vague because I know you don't have like lore novice imperialis, but give me a lore check.
I barely have lore at all.
Yeah,
but
give me a lore check with a +10 because you are of the novice imperialis.
Oh, let's see. 66.
Okay.
Under. Over 26.
Okay. All of these logistics and all of these interplays make perfect sense because you never bothered to step foot on the gunnery decks.
Technically, because you gave me a +10, but
Okay.
still sucks. -3.
Still -3. Still a impressive failure. Exact same response.
Yeah.
These interplays all make sense. They make perfect sense because why wouldn't the families all want more power? You would never want to step down on a gunnery deck. You can't even believe you're on a gunnery deck right now.
Hell yeah.
So far below your station. Yeah. So, Captain Frederic has mentioned there is strife. There are problems. The families are not seeming to want to work together. There is less prayer, less hymns, less devotions. There are concerns of the faith.
I suggest we just cleanse them all.
I second this.
I just casually,
70,000
Quinton just says
souls.
that out loud.
You say that out loud?
That would be one solution, sure. We should probably workshop it a bit, though.
What would be one solution?
He didn't hear me.
I'm sorry, did one of you speak?
It's just my imaginary friend. I have this thing. Don't worry about it.
Perhaps a focus group.
She looks at you very strange, Roderick.
That's fine. That's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Out of these families here, are there any that seem to be more dedicated or loyal than others?
All of the families have seemed to be equally loyal. Obviously, Ilara Kalor is the newest of our ruling matriarchs. She has perhaps the most to prove. Unfortunately, her mother perished during a warp transit not too long ago. She took over leadership, 4 cycles? 5? Very new, very green. House Draven, I've never worried about. Eric Draven is nothing more than a malicious bastard who wants to smell Ficeline. Ficeline is just, it's a Warhammer 40,000 word for gunpowder.
Oh.
And as for the rest, I mean, they've all served on this ship for familial generations. We don't have a single influx of new blood in the last 100+ years.
Where are your productivity metrics for the gun line?
She takes
Surely
it.
with all this dissent, you should be seeing lower productivity within certain families.
She takes her data slate and she quickly shows you a few screens, and you see that productivity is fine. The guns are being maintained properly. There are no logs of missed maintenance. There have been no issues with the guns. Now, notably, however, you also recognize that y'all have been on this ship for the better part on and off of over 2 months. The guns haven't been fired. There's been nothing to shoot at. So while they've been maintained, while the logs are all there, there's no record of any kind of major maintenance because the guns haven't been fired while you've been in orbit around Vol.
Okay.
What seems to be the problem then? They're just not praying enough? Or are they
She
fighting
kinda looks
with
taken
each other
aback and she goes,
openly?
That's exactly the problem. Prayers are at an all-time low. Devotions, hymnals, the faith in the God Emperor seems to be shaken.
Do you suspect that their faith is moving elsewhere? I dare not say the word.
You see immediately she throws up a sign of the Aquila. She goes, No. I can't imagine that we have the taint aboard this deck. That'd be impossible.
I raise an eyebrow.
She kind of like pauses. She kind of pauses and she looks at you and she goes, Improbable, but not impossible. Well, now you must find out. If the ruinous powers have made a foothold in this deck, we will deal with it ourselves. There can be no discrepancy. There can be no weakness in the faith of the God Emperor.
With the mention of potentially that might be a possibility, that kind of taint, while this conversation was happening, Quinton's going to immediately lose interest in it, go over to the edge of it and start like reaching out.
Okay.
With his science sense, whatever, I don't know.
Cynicians.
And trying to look for presence of intrusions of the warp or psyker presence.
All right. So, let's take a peek here really quick. Got to see what we need you to roll for your Cynicians. Do. Psychic powers. That is Cynicians just a, is that a,
It's a skill.
minor? Oh, that's right, it is a skill. Why am I looking at psychic powers?
Yeah. It's a specialty under awareness.
Yep. So with awareness clinicians, you're looking for blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm just bringing myself back up to speak because we haven't used clinicians too much. Go for it. Give me a -20 hard test of clinician's awareness.
You have 20. Where's that something? Damn it.
Uh-oh.
That's going to be a 45 under a 57, but then with the -20, so that's going to be a -1.
You would have had it. Okay. So as you kind of look out, you don't see any tangible... Your psychic senses do not see any tangible penetrations of warp energy on this deck at this time.
I think we should start interviewing the families and see where the strife is. We already have some rapport with Kaelor. Maybe we should start there.
Okay.
Okay,
Seems
you
a better
said
place to start.
Kaelor and Raiden both had one gun, right?
Correct. Kaelor and Raiden both managed one gun. Tarasis, Voran, and Draven all managed 2 guns for their family.
So, also, T. Just to make sure I'm not missing anything,
Yeah.
There's no productivity issues. There's
Nope.
just like some shit in the air that doesn't feel right.
So we've talked a bit about the scope of what Warhammer is, the lack of trust in technology, in computers. This is very much take a major step back, get rid of the sci-fi trappings. This is the Dark Ages. When people's faith begins to waver, people get concerned. The entirety of the Imperium is a hyper-religious, fascist society.
Yep.
It blatantly is. The Imperium are not the good guys. There are no real good guys in Warhammer 40,000. They are a hyper-religious, borderline proto-fascist society that has a church that has control of the people through their praise to a literal corpse sitting on a throne that may or may not be alive. It's never been made clear.
Some may or may not argue they're imperialists.
They are imperialists. Might be why they're named the Imperium. But, so Alex, to your point, like as you're looking at this, you're looking at it through a lens of logic. Remove the lens of logic, add a religious fervor slap over the top.
Yeah, Dark Ages makes it. I get it.
You're with me.
So I'm just making sure I'm not missing something else.
No. Yeah, literally, they called you down here because prayers have decreased and there are concerns of discontent. Now,
Okay.
what you wouldn't know as a character is if that's the case, that's always something worth investigating, especially on an Inquisition ship, because you're supposed to be the righteous purity of the darkness. And more so than that is if there are issues amongst the crew, if you get into combat, that could cause people to die. That could be very bad.
Also, the Inquisition has no qualms with just whole sacking entire crews.
Crews, planets,
galaxies, sections of the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Go team.
Makes you feel real good. All right, so you mentioned you wanted to go start interviewing some of the families. Where would you like to start?
I just feel like we already talked to Kaelor, and I rolled a pretty stellar roll. So
Let's start there. See what Kaelor has to say about the other families.
Okay.
Also.
So I'll make your way back down. You see as Alara Kaelor is, again, getting her crew kind of cleaned up. The reload of the gun, the macro cannon, has been completely reloaded. It has been set up in such a way where the old shell is out, the new shell is in, and she is sitting there wiping her brow with a sweaty, sweaty rag as you all walk over, and she goes, hello again? What can I do for you?
Oh, we just decided to stop over here because we just got done checking in with Frederic. Looks like all the munitions are in order, but we thought we'd have a more personal touch with each of the guns.
Captain Frederic,
Apologies, of course. Captain Frederick.
You see as the faint look of almost like hurt that you would not give Frederick the level of respect she commands goes away.
Good sign. Mental note.
Looks to you and says,
I look over at Roderick.
So looks to you and says, well, we've obviously just rearmed the gun. The munitions are blessed and anointed and ready to go. The sacred unguents have been applied to all of the items. The Mechanicus has gone by, and you see as a red-robed Lex Mechanic is moving from, or excuse me, not a Lex Mechanic, a red-robed adept of the Adeptus Mechanicus is moving from this gun to the next to begin the sacred rites. And she says, we're about as close to ready as we could be without something to shoot at.
Well, may the Emperor be blessed. You're truly doing great work.
Thank you. She's not your superior. You do not get.
That's fine. I'm not lick spittling.
I'm telling you for mechanics, you're not going to get a lick spittle.
She's trying to be a nice guy.
Yep, I'm just being a nice guy. She's doing a great job, and I'm also trying to gauge her reaction to blessing the Emperor and if she's like fully in go team or not.
You speak of blessing the Emperor, and you also remember that she did immediately throw up that sign of the Aquila at that one moment.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks to you and she goes, Emperor be praised. We are as prepared as we could be.
Your crew has done a great job. You'll clearly have the Emperor's blessing here, but I did have some concerns. It looked like some of the other crews might not be quite as on task. What do you think?
Give me an intuition check, challenging +0.
Intuition?
Intuition.
Intuition. Cut that out.
No, that's staying. That's going to be the clip.
Where is intuition? What the hell?
Intuition is
it's a base
perception.
skill. Okay, yeah. That's 35 under 37.
Oh, okay.
+0.
As you compliment her crew and ask of her thoughts of the others, you see as a brief look of doubt crosses her face. She looks almost concerned and then relieved that you have said that her crew is doing well. And as you ask of the other families, she says, well, I can't say that I mingle too much more than outside of Raiden. He's just a gruff old bastard. Taught me a fair bit after I took over here, but well, Raiden's run by Magnus Raiden. Make sure you speak to him. She points at the gun. You see a huge brown-bearded bear of a man with a cigar lit and going. She goes, that's him right there. And as she's saying this, she's tapping out a cigarette for herself, a low stick. Vorin has the guns at the end. Hadron Vorin is the leader down there. He's an old bastard. He's got a huge burn on one side of his face from a shell that wouldn't eject. Got stuck to it. Peeled a whole 3 layers off. Ugly thing. Tarasis is the only other female-led gun. That was Lady Arena. She was my mother's best friend. Close confidant. We don't talk very much, though, unfortunately, so I can't share too much about her. She always said I was an incorrigible rascal, whatever that means. And Draven, well, if you haven't heard of Eric Draven, just know that if you don't smell like gunpowder, he doesn't like you.
We'll be sure to rub some on my face before I approach him.
That might work.
Now, of course, the most important thing is that the Emperor is being praised in all things. I trust everybody is doing their part.
Give me another intuition check.
No, my intuition's low. Oh, man, that's at 13. Nice.
Okay.
13 under 37.
You see as she cages her face and guards her reaction. She says, devotions are as they have been for some time. The Emperor is praised. This gun shall always fire in his name. And she reaches in and pulls out a chain that she wears around her neck that has an Aquila on it. She says, my faith is with him. As is my crew's. He guides us through the darkness. But you can see that she's hiding something.
So, I'm just going to take a shot, I suppose.
Sure.
I'm going to kind of step in and as a slight look of concern. Captain, I trust all is well with you and your crew. Who is it not all well with?
So, Alara looks at you, and keep in mind she's not a captain. No, just so for your knowledge, none of the gunnery leads are captains.
Oh, my bad. No, you're good. Frederick is the yeah.
But ignoring that part, you wouldn't have said that. She looks at you and she goes, "I have nothing bad to say about any of the other families. They all praise the Emperor. They all maintain their guns. We all stand ready to fight the darkness when the day comes. If you're looking for me to badmouth my fellow gunnery families, I will not. I cannot. They do fantastic work."
Quinton's gonna saddle up right behind her and go, like, kind of almost like looking over her shoulder into Mordecai's face. Should I pro up her brain?
All right.
Do it. I'm gonna go through the mental link and go.
No, you don't have a mental link.
I dropped it.
Oh, you dropped it. Shit. Add that back into my notes. God damn. So I cheat sheet
Dimitri's going to give Quinton the Danny DeVito, like, nah, not right now.
He's going to look visibly disappointed and just kind of like stare at the back of her head.
Come on in.
Takes a deep drag of her cigarette, blows it over her shoulder without realizing into Quinton's face because she's trying not to blow it into Mordecai's face, and says, any other questions I can help you with? I mean, would you like to inspect the gun? I'm happy to show you. And at this, she actually goes, actually, here. And she puts the cigarette in her mouth, and Mordecai, she kind of grabs you around the arm, and you realize she's stronger than you, and she starts dragging you along, talking through all of the intricate workings of the different gears, the different mechanisms, the aiming reticle, the way that the macro cannon can rise and drop.
Brad, you do with this what you will. Okay. As she does this, I am going to indulge her fully. Okay. I'm going to be fascinated. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to ask questions the best of my ability without looking like an idiot.
Can I help you out on whatever you're about to do?
I am just building rapport with her.
Right. Mordecai loves guns, especially not being on the receiving end of guns. So, yeah, I'm going to...
Are you referring to me or you?
Yeah, I see you talking about...
Yeah. Mordecai and Dmitry love guns. Is what I meant to say.
You two are so intertwined in the things you're doing that even Mike is forgetting his character's name.
I'm trying to think of what I want to do.
But I think it's you.
There it is. All right. Dmitry, you can absolutely tag along because you are there as well. I
just want to help.
So you two get taken through the whole, and she shows you the different ways that the gun's elevation has changed for the firing arc. The gun itself does not turn laterally. It cannot. It is very much, when I say it's like an old school wooden ship with a cannon, that's what it is. It is on a single firing point, and that's where it fires. But as you walk by, you see that there are wax seals with litanies slapped all over the gun. There are inscribed prayers to the Emperor all over the gun. She has an audience that is intrigued by her gun and intrigued by her family, and she is just elated. She talks to you both for over 20 minutes about every nuanced detail.
While they're starting to do that, Quinton's immediately wandering off to go investigate literally anything else.
I kind of assumed you were. Honestly, at this point, nobody sees you. I just assume you're fucking off and doing your thing. But Dmitry and Mordecai, mark down, you both gain +1 influence with Alara. Just Alara.
Okay. Last little play here before we walk away. I'm going to put my hand on her shoulder. Alara, would you allow me to pray with you?
Absolutely.
And as she says that, I guess I'll just read through some of the inscriptions and Blessed Emperor, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Be with Alara and her crew. How is she reacting to that? Does she seem like Christmas morning Christian or like?
She is not a, to use my wife's favorite term, she's not a CEO. She's not a Christmas and Easter only.
Okay.
She gets very into it as well, follows along, prays with you a bit, and you see as she kind of seems to settle and calm. But for anything more than that, you'll have to find out next time.
Nah.
So, with that, that'll bring us to the end of, episode 4. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us with episode 4 of the Tainted Hive Season 2. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, PrimetimeMagic.com. Go over there, check them out if you're a Magic player. They've got all kind of card singles. I did see that they had Assassin's Creed cards. Didn't know that was a Magic deck. That's pretty cool. So make sure to give them some love.
Everything's magic.
Everything is magic. There's Warhammer magic. There's, I don't even know what else, but make sure to tune in next time. Head on over to deadsunsco.com for links to all of our socials. You can find access to all of our different shows, reviews of some of the content we've had a chance to look at, and make sure you follow along with everything else we have going there. If you haven't yet joined our Discord, you can join as a free member, or you can join as part of our Patreon. And if you like what you hear, head on over to patreon.com/deadsunsco and give us some love. Now with that, gentlemen, I'll see you next time.